Start off and give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Hawakai. Once again, double honors to the elder apostles who rule and teach well, teaching in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Shah, and teaching that the Arfa Dichip is the mark of the beast. Alright? And Shalom and a salute to the brothers, the Akim, and the prophets, the men that's doing so. Alright? Doing the same, teaching in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Shah, and pushing that the Arfa Dichip is the mark of the beast. Alright? And the shalom to the elect that scattered throughout the four corners of the earth in these last days. Shalom. All right. So, like the title of the video say, all right, multiple wives is lawful. All right, multiple wives is lawful. All right. And before I get on this topic, I want to get another scripture based on these times. All right, because this is it's a lot of them, but I'm gonna grab one. I'm gonna grab a couple. There's Matthew chapter 26 and 41. I'm gonna get Luke 21 and 36. There's Luke 21 and 36. Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and to stand before the Son of Man. Alright, so first and foremost, prophecy in the last days are happening. Prophecies in the Bible is happening. So you want to study to show yourself approved. You want to know the prophecies, and you want to watch for the prophecies in these last days. All right, and you want to prepare for the times. All right, like an ant. Okay. But like I say, watch ye therefore and pray always. You know. So before I get to the lesson, this a message out there to the the men, women, and children of Yahweh Ba'ashem Shah that's serving him. You know, make sure you're watching the news and paying attention to what's going on. All right, and always pray. You know, and if you haven't, you can look it up about that the cyber attack that happened yesterday. You know, so we see how things is picking up. We already know they're going to crash these banks. All right, they're going to come with their blackout. You know, it's about to be another pandemic. All right, and guess what? You people are going to be in the dark. No resources, no food, no water, no. This government is about to leave you high and dry. All right, and then they're going to come with the solution. All right, they're going to come with their new system. All right, they're going to come up with their new system. And it's going to be digital. All right, they're going to swoop in like they're trying to save the day. And guess what this system? Guess what this system implies? It implies you to take that RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast. All right, that RFID chip and that Neuralink, which you got a lot of people in these last days walking around with the mark of the beast already in their hand, all right, or in their forehead, you know. But the time is coming to where the only way you're going to be able to live off this beast system, all right, is if you take that mark of the beast, all right. You know, so you see how with Fed now, you know, and the things that they're pushing for. They're about to cancel out, all right, cash, credit cards, all this. They about to cancel it out, you know, because through their money, they're going to gain full control of their citizens. All right, this is a power move. All right, you know, and you're not supposed to take that RFID chip, the mark of the beast. If you do, you have no chance of salvation from Yahweh Ba'ashem Shah. All right? You know, so you want to Watch and pray always, like the scriptures say. All right. So let me get a scripture. Let me read this before I get the scripture. 2 Ezra 2:13. Go and ye shall receive. Pray for few days unto you, that they may be shortened. The kingdom is already prepared for you. Watch. So you're supposed to be praying, watching, and preparing, and building yourselves up in on your most holy faith in Yahweh Shemal Shah. All right, because it's about to get bad out here. From the time that they cut the power off until the time they cut the power on with a new system, millions and millions of people are going to die. All right. When they cut this power back on, all right, the only way you're going to be able to live within their this beast system, all right, is by taking that RFID chip, the mark of the beast. All right. So they're going to force you. It's either you're going to depend on the Lord to provide for you in that day, all right, and you've been putting forth the work like an ant, preparing spiritually, physically, all right, and mentally. It's either you're going to trust in Yahweh Shemal Shah or you're going to trust in Esau, the so-called white man. You know? So, and let's get another scripture on that. Because that shows you how bad it's about to get. All right? That shows you how bad it's about to get. All right? This Revelation 3:10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Right. So that hour of temptation is coming, you know. Shalom. Let me see. It's the so-called blasphemous. Let me see. So-called blasphemous son highs. Psalms 23, I led the word, I restored the soul by the restoring the truth, interpretations. Hold on. I don't know, it looked like an Edomite. All right, the so-called blasphemous, what's your nationality? What's your nationality? I can't read what you're posting because let me see what you're talking about. What's a parable? A box, a body, a vessel, a cover. Yes. What? A word. All right. Well, the so-called blasphemous. What's your nationality? What's your race? But continuing with the lesson. All right. So that hour of temptation, according to Revelation 3:10, it's coming. All right. It is coming. All right. You know, when the power grid goes off, when this blackout happens, when this EMP attack happens, all right. Okay, you Mexican? All right. Yo, what was the nationality or race of your dad? What's your dad's nationality or race? You know, just trying to make sure. All right, just trying to make sure. Because I don't know if you know it or not, but the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the 12 tribes of Israel. All right. So if you really are a Mexican, I don't got my 12 tribes charters in my car, but if you really are a Mexican, you know, you're an Israelite. So you would no longer call yourself a Mexican, all right? You will be an Israelite, all right? This all right. So yeah, the hour of temptation. So make sure you watching and praying. All right, because it's about to get bad out here. You know, the power is about to get kicked, knocked off. All right, famine. It's about to be famine. Not famine. My friend though. Oh, I don't know. Okay, okay, okay. Uh, you say you don't know. Well, answer me. How do you know that you're Mexican? How do you know that you're Mexican? All right. Yeah. So people are going to be tempted. People are going to be tempted to take the mark of the beast. All right. Because guess what? That's how bad it's going to get out you. The government which you trust in, they're gonna cut the lights off on you. All right. They're gonna cut off, the resources and the supplies that's going to these stores and shit. You gotta understand these farms. These farms is no longer in progress. They're no longer working. All right. Watch your mouth. Hey, watch your mouth. You don't sound like a Mexican, brother. You do not sound like a Mexican. The so-called blasphemous. Hey, bro. All right, man. Hey. So you get into the Bible? The so-called blasphemous, you get into the Bible? Do you get into the Bible? Because I see you posting scriptures. But don't you know that the Bible is about you? You're the Lord's people. All right? And the reason why I said you're not acting the reason why I said you're not acting like a Mexican, because it seems like you got offended when I was talking about Esau, the so-called white man. That's why I said that. All right. But yeah, I'm gonna continue with the lesson. It's, sorry about my tripod. It's half broke, but I'm gonna make it work. All right. Yeah. So not trying to offend you, the so-called blasphemous. All right. You say you Mexican, so um, that's great news. All right, that's great news because you gotta understand you're of the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, so you gotta stop calling yourself, Mexican. Now, of course, if you're doing a job application or something like that, then you gotta put what this devil so-called white man calls you. All right, he calls you a Mexican. So you gotta put that on the job application. But you have to understand, who you are according to the Bible. Okay, but getting back to the lesson. Bear with me. This Jeremiah 30:7. This will be the last precept I get on Jacob's trouble. All right. Jeremiah 30:7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even a time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Right. So during this time period, during Jacob's trouble, you're not going to be able to run to Esau, the so-called white man, for medication, for water, for food, for clothing. You ain't going to be able to do that. All right? This devil is going to uh, basically like the first purge. You know how they let the people um, basically kill each other and things like that for 24 hours. Then after that time period, then they established the laws and things like that. The laws of the land was back in effect. You know, because Esau, the so-called white man, he wants to control the population. All right, and he wants to depopulate the population. That's what you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans don't know. You don't understand that your enemy is trying to depopulate you. All right. All right. So those are the times we're entering into. Those are the times where you have to trust and truly have faith in Yahweh Bashmal Shah. You can't have faith and trust in 911, all right? Or, you can't, this devil is not going to save you on that day. You got to understand. All the power is going to get knocked out on purpose. Of course, they're going to blame it on Russia or China, but it's not Russia or China that's really doing it, all right? But back to the lesson. Back to the lesson. All right? The lesson is on multiple wives. All right? And we're about to prove how you can have multiple wives. I'm going to start off with this one. All right? This Deuteronomy 17:17. So this is a law. This is a law on having multiple wives. And there's multiple, and you got to ask yourself this. We know the law, statutes, commandments, and precepts endure forever. All right? So you got to ask yourself this. Why do they have a law on having why do they have laws on having multiple wives? On how to deal with them? Because that shows you that it's lawful. It's not against the law, statutes, commandments of the Bible to have multiple wives. Having multiple wives is not a sin. Now Christians, if you listen to a Christian, they don't know the Bible at all. All right? If you listen to a Christian, they really just serve their own belly. All right? They really serve Satan. They don't keep none of the commands of Yahweh Shema Shah. They don't keep no laws, statutes, and commandments and precepts. They don't truly worship the Lord. They don't love Him. All right? And the Bible tells you how to love God. You love Him by keeping His commandments. You don't love Him by saying, oh, the law is done away with. We can eat anything. We can do anything. That's not in the Bible. The Lord never said the laws was done away with. All right, so this Deuteronomy 17:17. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away, neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. All right? So when you go into this, all right, it's not saying that you can't have multiple wives. All right? And we have accounts like with King Solomon. All right? And Christians take that account, in the book of Kings, they take it out of context. All right? They try to say, oh, you see, this is why he went off, because he wasn't supposed to have multiple wives. No, that's not why he went off. All right? It wasn't. The sin that he committed was not having multiple wives. All right? The sin that he committed was worshiping other gods. All right? That his wives and concubines, mainly the concubines of the other nations, what they was in. And it's an old saying. It's an old saying. A wise man knows his limits. All right. You know. So, and especially in these times, it don't. It's lawful, but it's not expedient. It's not wise to have multiple wives, because that's a lot of responsibility as well. You know. And in these times, you're supposed to be focusing on the kingdom of heaven. All right. You know, and building up yourself in your most holy faith, watching and praying, you know. So, but keep it in mind, the Bible never said you can't have multiple wives. There's literally a prophecy that in these last days, all right, before Jacob's trouble comes, you're literally going to have 7 women take hold of one man, all right? So, bro, in these last days, brothers are going to have multiple wives, multiple women flock to them, to one man, all right? All right? And listen to the next half of it. It says, Deuteronomy 17:17, neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. That's the error. That's the sin right there. When your mind turns away from serving the Lord, that's the problem. The problem is not having multiple wives. That's not a problem at all. You know? If you can carry that responsibility and still serve the Lord 100%, you know, plus, you know, take care of all your wives and things like that. If you can do it, handle your business. Go ahead, you know. But the Bible never said you can't have multiple wives, all right? And we're gonna pull scriptures that Christians use. We're gonna pull scriptures that Christians use to try to say, oh, you see, he's supposed to have one wife. Look what the scripture says. Look what the New Testament says. You know, and just totally take things out of context. All right. So let's get the next one. All right. So this, let me see what I want to start. All right. I'm gonna start at 6. This First Corinthians 7:6. This Paul speaking. But I speak this by permission and not of commandment. All right. So what Paul is about to pretty much in the whole chapter, Paul was giving wise advice, because you got to understand the time that Paul was living in. All right. You got to understand the 12 tribes of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, y'all wasn't ruling during that time. We wasn't in our kingdom, and we're definitely not in our kingdom today. All right. So Paul was all about focusing on the ministry. All right. He was all about focusing on teaching and preaching Yahweh Bashim Shah. All right. And we're going to read what it says. It says, for I would that all men were even as I myself. But it says, but every man have his proper gift of Yahweh Shema Shah, one after this manner and another after that. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. All right, so keep it in mind at verse 6. Paul said he speak by what? Permission and not by commandment. So this is advice. All right. He says, verse 9, but if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. All right. But I'm going to jump let's jump to matter of fact, we're gonna jump back up. All right. This First Corinthians 7:1. Now concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. All right. So you got to understand what Paul was going into. You got to do your history check on the times when Paul was living. All right. Then will you understand that it was. Might need to jump down. All right. And then the whole chapter really it breaks itself down, you know. Because in times like this, having multiple wives, if you can't handle it, you know, different brothers got different discipline levels, or different brothers are on different maturity levels, so to speak, in the spirit, in the faith of Yahweh Shema Shah. So one brother can probably handle 10 wives while in captivity, and the next brother can probably only handle 2 or 3 wives, and you might have one brother who might can only handle 1 wife, so he can focus on the truth. All right, so he can focus on the Lord. The scriptures talk about. Let me get it. This it's in the same chapter. This First Corinthians 7:35. And this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction. All right? So that's the point. That's the point. All right? That is the point. So when you Christians pulling out scriptures that talk about a man marrying 1 wife and things like that, all right? For one, when you look at the history during the ancient Roman Empire, you couldn't even marry multiple wives. That was against the laws of the Romans at that time. All right? And then secondly, it wasn't expedient. All right? The truth had to been spread. All right? Had to be spread throughout the known world in that time. All right? It was all about the ministry. All right? All right, so it says what? Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna start at 29. I'm gonna start at 27. All right. So Paul never forbidden, or Paul never told you, you couldn't get a wife. All right. But Paul, you gotta understand, Paul is giving wise advice, because Paul is in captivity during this time. All right. He's in slavery during this time. He's in oppression in this time. All right. So he's giving advice. All right. So after we touch on that, we're gonna touch on the deacon scripture. You know, because Christians run to that scripture a lot. Y'all, Christians run to that scripture a lot to try to say you only can have one wife. All right. So this 1 Corinthians 7:27. Art thou bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loose. Art thou loose from a wife? Seek not a wife. So keep it in mind, this is advice, and Paul's about to break down what he's saying. And if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she have not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. Exactly. So what does Paul mean that you're going to have trouble in the flesh? All right? And you can apply this to having multiple wives. If you have multiple wives in captivity, it can or it may be trouble in the flesh. You know? It may be hard for you. It's like trying to balance you basically trying to balance out, not so much as balance, it's not balance out, but you're trying to find that what's the word? You're trying to find that right tune, so to speak, in which you can serve Yahweh Shema Shah without distraction and take care of the responsibilities of having multiple wives. All right? And that's easier said than done. You know, that's easier said than done. Because you gotta understand, the men of Israel, all right, the men of Yahweh Shema Shah were priests, judges, rulers, future rulers of the kingdom of heaven. All right. So, and then our job is to wake up the elect. All right, preach the word. All right. All right, and you know you gotta be, as far as taking care of your wives, you gotta be a provider and a protector. All right. So it's a lot that goes into it. So that can or may become a trouble in the flesh, like the scripture say. All right. It says, nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. So yeah, though the men you see standing on the highways and byways, yeah, you know, yes, we got wives, but we constantly working and studying, all right? Not only is you working and serving Yahweh Shema Shah, but you still got to clock in at your different jobs, you know, to provide for your wife or wives and children. All right. So we have to work. We in captivity. So us men got a lot on our shoulders to be talking about getting multiple wives. But if you can handle that, handle your business. But that's not a sin, how Christians try to push it. All right? So let's continue. It says, but this I say, brethren, the time is short. It's 1 Corinthians 7:30. 1 Corinthians 7:29. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not. Literally, you know. So why? Because you're busy preparing mentally and physically, all right, and spiritually for the times to come, for Jacob's trouble. All right. You're trying to make sure you and your household get saved. You know? It says, verse 31, and they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. So that's the mindset that Paul had. That's the mindset that Apostle Paul had. All right? He was in the mindset like, bro, we don't got that much time. We got to make sure we perfect in the eyes of the Lord before his judgment reigns on the planet Earth. Before these prophecies happen on the planet Earth. All right? Because the last days started when Yahushua came on the scene. All right? And guess what? Yahushua is about to make his second coming to the planet Earth. All right? So it says, but I will have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried care for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. All right? So it's basically, it's less distraction. All right? It's less distraction. It says, but he that is married care for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. There is a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman care for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married care for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. All right? Verse 35. And this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction. All right? Now let's get the next precept. So that whole chapter is going into advice. Apostle Paul is giving wise advice, all right, for the circumstances that we're in. All right? Right now we're slaves in Babylon the Great America. And wherever we're scattered under the rulership of these Edomites. So-called white people. All right? And it's not just them, you know. It's the Chinese, all the different other nations. Japanese, you know, the Hamites. All right? They're your enemies. This First Corinthians 10 and 23. All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. Yeah, so what Christians don't understand, it's nowhere in the Bible where it says you cannot have multiple wives. Having multiple wives is lawful, all right? Now, due to us being in these circumstances, you know, you working every single day, you know. You already we're subject to payments. We're catching hell already, you know. And you're laboring in the spirit, all right, in the truth. So your hands are already tied, all right. So it's lawful for you to have multiple wives, but it's not expedient, you know. So, but if a brother chooses to have multiple wives, he's not wrong. Now, if that caused him to stop serving the Lord, you know, to stop keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, now that's the problem, you know. All right, we got those. I'm gonna get these bangers right quick. I got a lot of them, but I'm gonna get these bangers. And this Deuteronomy 21 and 15. If a man have two wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, if the firstborn son be heirs that was hated. All right? But the point was, that's literally, hold on. Yeah, that's a law on having two wives. All right, and it's others in Exodus. I want to say like Exodus 21. All right, I'm gonna get it. Uh, Yeah, I'm gonna get it right quick. So you literally have laws on how to keep your household in order. All right, how to take care of multiple wives. I think it's 21. Let me see. Yeah, Exodus 21 and 10. It's Exodus 21 and 10. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. All right. So there's literally laws, statutes, commandments on how to have multiple wives, how to keep peace and stability and order in the house. So if it was a sin to have multiple wives, why does it have laws in the Bible telling you how to have multiple wives the right way? All right, the righteous way in the eyes of the Lord. This I'm gonna end it on this one. This the banger, and for you Christians and newcomers, I advise you to read this chapter. It's Second Samuel 12 and 8, but you can if you want to read the whole account. I'm just getting the point. It's Second Samuel 12 and 8. And I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things. So here in Second Samuel 12 and 8, the Lord gave multiple wives to King David. So if it was a sin, or if it was wrong in the eyes of the Lord, why would he give multiple wives to King David? All right? You got to understand the Lord is perfect. All right? And the Lord don't change. Let's get that. We're going to end it off on that. That is Malachi. Yeah, this Malachi 3 and 6. Malachi 3 and 6. For I am the Lord, I change not, therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. So the Lord don't change. The Lord not about to give King David multiple wives in the Old Testament, then in the New Testament say you only can have one wife. All right? That don't make no sense. And that's not in the scriptures. That show you that the Christian doctrine is deaf. It's ignorance. All right? And you're not learning anything. All right? So with that, I want to end it and give all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shah, by Hashem, Harakakadash. Double honors to the elder apostles who rule and teach well. Teaching in the name of Yahweh Shema Shah, and teaching that the RFID chip is the mark of the beast. All right, and to the brothers that's doing so, Shalom. And to the hopefully elect scattered, Shalom. We almost out of here.